Welcome back to the podcast. Today's topic, mini splits and inverter technology.
Hi, this is Mark with Blue Ridge Heating and Air, and I'm here today with Brian, and we are in the Boulevard location, and we just kind of wanted to go over some mini splits and the inverter technology, and what is an inverter and what application can we use these in. So I'm just going to jump right into it. Brian, so tell me a little bit about inverter technology and how does that differ from the old school HVAC systems?
The older systems had a compressor that would deliver 240 volts around that area to the compressor, and it would run at one speed. Or maybe you had a two-speed compressor, and it would step up or step down, whatever the call was needed. But the inverter delivers 220 volts to the outside unit, and then it converts that voltage over to DC voltage, and it makes the three-phase compressor where it's able to ramp up or slow down based on the amount of voltage the inverters would send to the compressor.
Okay, so you're pretty much talking the older systems, it was just a direct hit of amperage and current, and it was either on or it was off.
That's correct.
Now with the inverter system, does it start off softer or does it peak right away? What's it do?
It starts off slow and then it will rev up based on the call and what it's needed, based on the temperatures and the pressures within the system itself. And even in the indoor unit, it's based off of those temperatures and pressures will directly affect the outdoor unit and how it works.
So initially you're gonna save power with the initial startup on an inverter drive system.
Yes, sir.
Opposed to a regular old school system.
Another thing is, I lost my train of thought. The outdoor unit will run longer. They tend to run longer at a slower speed, so you're not using as much power as you would with the conventional systems where it's on at 60 miles an hour, say, and then it's parked. This one here may run longer and you think you're using more power, but it's actually using less because it's not drawing as much power or current to make it run harder.
Okay, all right. So ductless mini splits, we see them everywhere now.
Yes. Right?
Like we see them in different locations and garages and all that kind of stuff. But where exactly are they and who are they really for?
Well, as you say, we're seeing them everywhere. You're seeing them in restaurants even, where they might have 2 or 3 heads across the side wall. They're very decorative in some applications. But I think it's more for the people who do have an older building and have no room for ductwork or can't get the ductwork to suit their needs. Like you say in the garages, a guy wants to go out there in the wintertime and just work in his garage, so he just puts a one-to-one system. In other houses, you can have 1 outdoor unit and 3 indoor heads, 4 indoor heads, where you are actually covering different zones within the house, which allows you to set different temperatures, and you can control it like a zoning system.
What are some of the most surprising things where you've seen mini splits, installed at?
Well, a customer we just did, he has a system for the main house. He had an addition for the master, I believe it was the master suite. We put in a ducted Mitsubishi system for him. And then we turned around and then he added another addition over here to the other side of the house. So we added another one-to-one application like a head with an outdoor unit. So he has 3 systems in his house right now. One's a conventional and 2 are Mitsubishi.
So it really sounds like the benefit of the inverter side of things in the application can be very beneficial to many people. It sounds like if you have a older home or an older building that you can't run ductwork through,
right,
you can set these up. You can have multiple heads in different parts of the building or through the house to be able to service the whole house. So is there now, what does it look like to have, say, 3 heads and 1 outdoor unit? What is that kind of the application of that? What would that look like?
Well, I think about the house down here in Stones Lake. We have 1 outdoor unit, and it's a 4-ton system. It's a very large system. It's a very big house. And now we were talking about the heads, but now we have 3 air handlers in that house off of 1 outdoor unit. So you can control different areas. 3 of the bedrooms are controlled by an air handler because it's so large we couldn't just put individual heads. But we did the air handlers and ran ductwork to each individual area off of 1 air handler. That's one application. Another application is where I've seen we've installed 1 outdoor unit and had 2 heads for the 2nd floor and the 1st floor. Or even inside the house and 1 going into the garage. We've done that as well. Or into an apartment over the garage and the garage. Because you can't put a conventional system in there because it is a garage. And you would introduce carbon monoxide to the house if you had the conventional system. So you don't have to run ductwork in the garage application. So now I am putting a head where it's contained within the garage. Then on the other side, I have a head with just the apartment where the living space is. So the 2 don't communicate with each other than the outdoor unit.
So you're telling me that you can have, say you've got an apartment above a garage area and you can take a head and service that apartment upstairs, and then you can also have a separate head to service the garage area. Now, what does that look like as far as temperatures? And the garage is probably not going to be used as much, but the upstairs, that's your living quarters now. So kind of explain a little bit about how does the different temperatures range? How can you utilize that system to benefit you?
I think in that application, you have the living space, so you're going to have it 70, 72 degrees for cooling. And then in the garage, you may set it to 78, where you're not really using the cooling. But in the wintertime, you have it set at 68, 70 degrees for heating, and then you have it set for 60 degrees for heat in the garage. So you can maintain a comfortable temperature down there. You're not living there, but you're just working, tinkering around in the garage, and it allows you to be there, working there comfortably, where you're not 50 degrees, 45 degrees in the garage, or even colder for that matter.
Where you're freezing. So even like in say a 3-bedroom application, this person here, wants it either warmer or cooler than the person in this room over here, and it sounds like that you can utilize and be comfortable and be in separate rooms at the same time. That's a really cool feature with the mini splits and the inverter technology. Being able to turn 1 unit off and run a unit that you use more, it's going to function the same way. Sounds like a really awesome product to be able to install in several applications to be satisfied all year.
Well, you know how the living area, people like it a little bit warmer, but when they're sleeping, there's a lot of people out there who like it nice and cold. And so they can run that down and have this one a little bit warmer. And as you say, the zoning application really helps.
So it sounds like it's a really neat product. What about, how do you feel about like the warranty side of things on these products here? What does that look like for the consumer at this point to purchase this system? And we know that we're going to get the power savings from this, being able to save up to almost 40% less power used through this inverter drive system. And then they're super quiet on top of that, right? So from compared to a old school HVAC system, I guess that's what we'll keep referring it to. They're super quiet on top of that. But what's the warranty on this inverter drive?
Actually, the warranty is very good. We are a diamond dealer because of the training and the amount we have installed. And for that, we have a 12-year parts 12-year compressor, and a 1-year labor warranty on the systems that we install. Now with that, the conventional system usually have a 10-year compressor, 5-year parts, and 1-year labor. So the warranty is so much better with these inverter systems.
Wow, that sounds amazing to me. Now with Mitsubishi and Daikin is also another product that we use. There's cold climate or hyperheat products that you can also purchase. Can you tell us a little bit about what the heck is a hyperheat?
The hyperheat is pretty awesome, actually. You know, the conventional heat pumps can heat comfortably down to about 35 degrees, 30 to 35. And it's a newer technology, maybe down to 25. But after that, it's going down, it's relying on another source of heat to assist the heat pump. So what we're looking for is something the hyperheat gives you is down to -5. It can give you 100% out of that product to keep you warm, where we're not relying on the heat strips or the gas furnace to supplement that heat to make it comfortable. So the Daikin has something very similar called an Aurora series, and it works down in the cold area as well. But it's just, and it's not using a whole lot more power to get down there either. It's usually, the amperage may go up a little, but not significantly, where the heat strips would be offset. Does that make sense to you?
Right. So you're saying that the old school system you have your heat pump and it seems like it gets to a certain temperature. The efficiency is knocked out at that point.
Yes.
And so now you need a separate set of heat source. So that could be the heat strips or it could be a gas furnace.
Right.
With the Mitsubishi product, the Daikin product, it seems like it doesn't have another heat source. It is just 100% down to a very low temperature.
That's correct.
And it keeps you comfortable, down to that low of a temperature outside. So, wow, I think it sounds like it's a fantastic product. What is I guess kind of like, let's touch on a little bit of kind of the installation of these things. We don't need any duct work for it.
Right.
So, what does that look like as far as, I guess there's no holes being cut in the floor and the ceiling, right? So
right.
What does that kind of give us a little bit about what the install of this thing looks like?
Well, you can mount them on a sheetrock wall, run the line set out the wall or down behind the wall, and running the line set, the drain, and the communication wire. That's all there is to get it outside. Once you hook up outside, you're pressurizing the system, make sure there's no leaks. You're pulling a vacuum to clean out the line set. Electrically wiring it up, and then starting it up, checking it out, make sure the refrigerant pressures are right. Other than that, there's not a whole lot to them. The systems themselves are technically they're great. They're one of the best systems out there. So
sounds like a really good product, guys. Brian, going back to Mitsubishi and just really the history, where did this stuff even come from and how did it come to be?
I believe it started in Japan, in that area, because you had so many people and you would have the high-rise buildings and you had no place to put ductwork. You had to have a head and an outdoor unit. And they tend to be smaller apartments or 1 to 2 application, 1 outdoor unit with 2 heads. But they've been around for quite a while, and this is all they had to use over there because of the application. Now, to the United States, I believe in the 80s and 90s they started coming in, and early 2000s they really became popular in different applications. You started seeing them pop up all over the place. We've been installing them for quite a few years. Mitsubishi being the primary one we've installed, but we have done others as well. And we've had great success with the Mitsubishi product and even the Daikin product for that matter. So I am very pleased and I enjoy working with Mitsubishi product.
So, Brian, let's talk a little bit about the noise factor in these things. We've got this head now that's in our bedroom. Is that going to be loud? Is it going to bother us?
I don't think so, unless you're a real light sleeper. But other than that, there's a quiet mode. You can adjust the fan speeds to determine how fast you want it and how much you have to throw out, how much air you have to throw out to get to different parts of the room. But for the most part, you can go down to a whisper quiet where you can actually sit there and have a nice conversation when not having to hear the outdoor unit if you're sitting outside on a deck, or in the inside, you're having coffee or you're sitting around the table. It's not going to be an issue.
Okay. So what about let's talk a little bit, like they have, for a conventional system, they have all these smart thermostats and, you can connect your phone to them. You can run it off of the Wi-Fi. Is that something that this product offers?
In the past, Mitsubishi specifically had what they call as a Kumo Cloud, or now it's called a Comfort Link, I believe. But now all the systems are coming with Wi-Fi technology built in. So you're not having to add extra parts to get that capability. But yes, there are plenty of applications where people want that Wi-Fi. They want to set the temperature. They're coming up to the vacation home. They can raise the temperature so when they get there, it's at a set point where they're comfortable when they walk in the door, rather than have to get there, turn the thermostat up, and then wait until it either reaches temperature to cool or for heating. So
okay,
it makes it real nice for that.
So I get this question quite often, the remote that the unit comes with, is that the same as a thermostat?
No, it is not. It's a remote control, like a TV remote. The temperature sensor is actually on the inside unit at the corner, and it temperatures the air, and that's why you'll hear the fan come on every once in a while. It wants to circulate air, just check to make sure what the temperature is. Otherwise, it would just be a stagnant air right there. So when it comes on, it circulates the air and gives you a better reading of the room temperature, and it will adjust bring the unit on accordingly.
So it's not, you can't carry it from one room to the other and it senses off of that remote. It's the temperature is actually sensed on the indoor head. So can you carry this remote anywhere with you though? Can you utilize it for other heads? Can you, like, what does that look like?
You can use it. Let's go back to the unit, the remote in that room. If you go to another room and you try to control that unit, you're not going to be able to do it. But it has to be able to hear it and signal received by the control board. Otherwise, it's not going to respond. But if you have, as you say, I have 3 heads and they're all the same head, and I lose the remote control, one remote control is not working. So you can go in, take that remote control from one room, go to the next room, turn it off, turn it back on, and that remote control will now control that particular head. So now I can adjust the temperature to where I want it. And then I can bring it back to the other room, turn it off, turn it back on, and that will be able to control the original head. So people lose heads, they break, the batteries go bad, any number of things can happen to them. So this makes it nice where you can continue to use the system while you wait to get it repaired or whatever. So
get a new one. So we had talked about the different temperatures that you can have in the house, in different bedrooms and places, living rooms. You can set the temperature in different areas. Now, am I able to have the living room on a cool application and then have a bedroom on a heating application? Okay, does that work?
No, it will not work. And the reason why is the outdoor unit can only do one or the other. It cannot do both to different areas. So all the heads have to be in the heating mode, or all the heads have to be in the cooling mode. If one is not in the same mode, none of them will work. So we've had many calls over the years where when we change seasons is when it really happens. one is left in heating and everybody's trying to get the cooling to go, and then it does not work. So now they call us, we go out there, oh, one's in heating and the other two are in cooling. And that's all there is to it. Setting them all to one for heating or all for cooling.
So it sounds like people with Airbnbs and stuff, it's probably critical to maybe inform your customer base that these units either all have to be in cool or they all have to be in heat.
Correct.
And then if you have little kids that are running around, if they get a hold of that remote, you might not have a working system at that point if they decide to push buttons and change heat to cool.
Or you might not be able to find the remote control for that matter.
All right, so Brian, talking about the Mitsubishi, as far as tax credits or tax rebates, what are we looking at?
There's a lot of things out there right now, and the tax credit, let's talk about that one. That one ends at the end of this year. They're taking that out, where in the past we were able to get tax credit based on the system we installed, the SEER, and different things along those lines. It had to make so many different, not a lot, but there's a few different criteria the system had to have before you can get a tax credit. And that was just went back to you. It didn't come to us, or we had nothing to do with it other than you took it to your accountant, gave them the numbers of the systems, and they were able to do something with it. Now, the rebates for Duke Power or the other utility companies in the area, now, based on what you have and where you go to, it will be determined what kind of credit you can get, or rebate you get. And that's based on, the square footage of the house, the system you install, and there's different things. And it's really individual basis you have to really look at before you can make that decision on how much. And it could be up to $2,000, $2,500 based on the application, and each one's a little bit different. So it's really hard to say who gets what.
So it sounds like, the government and the power companies really want to help you benefit from purchasing these systems, to help out the grid, the power, the pull from the grid, and different things like that. So it sounds like we probably give us a call and let us come down and evaluate the situation and see if this works best for you, and then maybe we can get you some savings on top of it. Thanks for the time. If you would like, you can look into us and give us a call, ask about Mitsubishi or Daikin, and we can send somebody out there to help you out. You got the inverter drive, you got the power savings, you got the easy install, and you got different applications that you can use. Sounds like a really good product. Thanks for tuning in.
You can find us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts at Clearing the Air HVAC Tips and Tricks with Blue Ridge Heating and Air. You can also find our content on YouTube.